Yeah, the best thing I ever done was fight for this country. I earned my rights. That's the way I felt. I can do and be whatever I want to be. I did what I wanted to do, so I can look back on all those accomplishments and say, good job, Don Allen. You know? I love the parades. That's what I wanted when I came back. Johnny come marching home again, hurrah. I didn't get that. But once we started Vietnow, I remember that first parade we were in. Oh, man, you can't beat that feeling. People clapping and laughing and, hey, and people come up to you and say, hey, thanks for your service. And yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's a great feeling. And that's what I'm trying to do, get a lot of these other veterans out there, get into parade. Because again, I think once they recognize it, they can start opening up themselves. My concern is the veterans, because, the civilians now that's a different thing. I can't worry about everybody, but I do volunteer with the veterans. I volunteer at the VA. I volunteer at the vet court. I do honor guard, for the veterans who have died. Naturally, me being a young kid with all the other brothers who were in the military and had came out the military, I was destined, as far as I'm concerned, destined to go in the military. I had a great experience. It wasn't like, I was depressed because living in the ghetto, all the rest of the boys in the family, they made it out of the ghetto by doing something like going in the military. I mean, what else you gonna do? I was destined to volunteer, and I sort of lied about my age in order to help make sure I get in, and told the recruiter I want to go to Vietnam, and shoot, he did whatever he needed to do. When I signed up, I went by myself. And so he said, well, I'll call you up, and when I call you up, you bring your daddy down with you. And so he called me up and called up Dad, and we went to the recruiter's office, and the recruiter jumped up. Oh, Mr. Allen, he was so excited. Mr. Allen, where'd you keep your son at? Locked up all of his life? And he's, Dad was confused. Yeah, he doesn't have a criminal history. Well, if you know how dads are, well, here's a good boy. The old man was really proud of us at that time, and he still is. But, I did what I can. But once I decided to join the Marine Corps, I had no problem about dropping out of high school, because I wasn't worried about high school. I wasn't worried about that far in the future. I wasn't worried about college. I wasn't worried about anything. My only goal was to go into the Marine Corps. And I didn't worry about the after effects. I just wanted to go into the Marine Corps and go to Vietnam and fight for my country.
The contract: to enter the service of the United States Marine Corps and to report to such posts or stations of the Marine Corps as I may be ordered to join, and to the utmost of my power and ability discharge my services or duties, and be in everything conformable and obedient to the several requirements and lawful commands of the officers who may be placed over me.
All of a sudden, this guy in a blue shirt with dress blue pants. I didn't think much about it, but, apparently, he had on the cover of a Marine. It said, shut the fuck up, Navy over here, Marine over here. Whoa, that was my first experience. And so we did what he told us to do. Naturally, he told us to look forward, don't move a muscle. And so, and so we didn't move a muscle. And so this big semi-truck trailer, it's parking about 10 feet. So I'm doing my eyes like this. And I read U.S. Marine Corps, and it had a serial number. I said, oh shit, they're not gonna put us in the truck, are they? The DI came out, the drill instructor. He came out, and that's exactly what it is. We get shipped to Marine Corps Recruiting Depot San Diego, Hollywood Marine, okay? And naturally, there's a lot of yelling, you're not walking anywhere, you're running, okay? And then they line us on these yellow footprints. And every Marine remembers those yellow footprints. And they're rushing us everywhere to get a haircut, and you got the barber, zzz, zzz, zzz. And it's about 2 or 3 or whatever in the morning. So naturally, before you go to bed, you got to make your bunk. not talking. Nobody talking. So we're making our beds, and the drill instructor is encouraging us, teaching us what we need to do for our bunk properly made and stuff. And so we get a chance to go to sleep. All of a sudden in the morning, I don't know what happened, because by the time I was woken up, oh yeah, he came by to wake us up. No. He came by to wake me up. Get the fuck out of that bed, Marine! Whoa, so I get pulled out of the bed, and, I'm looking around because everybody else is already awake, making up their bed, because they're getting reveille sounded at 6 o'clock, and I was still asleep. So it was a lot of excitement for those first few days until you got accustomed to everything that was going on. And that was my first overnight experience in the Marine Corps boot camp. It was an eye-opening experience. You got to pass the PT test, and I flunked my PT test 3 times before I passed it, because I was a skinny kid. I was a skinny, weak kid. So I went to what they call PCP skinny section, which is physical conditioning platoon for the skinny guys. I knew what I had to do, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't even think about becoming a failure. Because again, when I couldn't pass the PT test, I knew I couldn't pass the PT test, and they let me out. I passed it in the conditioning platoon, went back to the regular platoon, then flunked it again, and then went back to the conditioning platoon until I finally got enough strength. I was using some stuff called Weight On, and back in those days it was like a liquid, and it puts weight on you, okay, and I used that. I did whatever I needed to do to gain some weight and gain some muscles, because you had to pass the PT test before you can move on. Just because you join the Marine Corps, it doesn't make you a Marine. You're not a Marine until you graduate, okay? And adapting to the military, to me, it was like brainwashing that civilian attitude out of you and transforming it into a military attitude. And to me, that's what it was all about. You become a team, concerned about everybody else. You help somebody else make it so that the whole team can make it. We encourage you to help somebody up a hill, or help somebody on a run, or help somebody climb a pole. That's part of that team spirit. And what was great about it, by the time I did graduate in boot camp, I was a PFC. And so, before I went to my ITR, I went back home, and that's when I experienced this. Whoa, this is like in a foreign land, because all the black people, the males had afros, and some of the females had afros, but there was that black power movement, because I'm stuck on a base in California, and so none of that stuff is going on. We're not connected to the outside world, okay? But the outside world is moving forward. Okay, you got race riots going on, and you have a whole lot of stuff going on, and so I came back, and it was like, whoa, like I said, it was like, boy, I can't wait to get back to boot camp. And so my dad, he took me down to to catch the plane going back, because that's the first time I seen my dad cry. But I wasn't going to Vietnam yet. I was going back to my ITR to learn how to operate a machine gun. Boot camp, we had the M14. You can look it up on the internet. It's called the M14. It was a long wooden rifle, and I mean not wooden, but it had metal parts. But it was a big rifle. In Vietnam we got the M16. But me being a machine gunner, we had to train on the M60 machine gun, and they taught us all about the machine gun, how to fire it, how to place it, how to clean it, how to take it apart blindfolded. That is really fascinating, okay? And the reason of it is, and they explain this to us, that over in Vietnam, when it's dark and all, you can't see. You just have to feel for the parts to make sure you put them right in case the gun jams up. And so that's exactly what could have happened. And so that's why we had to learn how to take it apart and put it back together blindfolded. And you don't know what you can do unless you're told to do this. Boom, I took that gun apart. It wasn't in record time, but we took it apart and put it back together. We became quite efficient Marines. which is what you're supposed to do when you're getting ready to go to war. My brother took me down to the airport because Dad was working. And that was the first time I seen my brother cry, because I was getting ready to go to war. And, I was crying, he was crying. He's a big man. He was in the Air Force and stuff. And so that was exciting. So we got on a plane, and then we got to the base, and then we hung around the base for about a week until we all got together and, we got orders to ship out on a certain day. And we went down to Travis Air Force Base. Talk about some good food. We ate, and then we caught the plane out. Everybody is shucking and jiving, talking, having a great time, and we're drinking because, well, we're drinking anyway. And so we're on the plane, but as we look out the window and saw the lights of the coast, you couldn't hear a word. Okay, everything was quiet until it was all dark. Then the drink started flowing again. Back here in the United States, we were a team, camaraderie. We relied on each other. We knew each other because of that longevity. And then each step of the way, we're losing people. And naturally, those were emotional moments. And by the time we landed in Vietnam, there was about 5. And we landed in Da Nang, which was really, whoa, talk about an experience. The stuff that you just hear about, Da Nang, Air Force, 1st Marine Division. And so I got my orders. I was assigned to Hotel 25. And so we left some people here. Then they flew me out to my unit. I get to my platoon, Hotel 25. And so what I do, I see this stick. And it's a short wooden stick, real nice and pretty. And I take it back with me to the unit. And as I'm walking with it, several people were saying, "Hey, short timer." Huh? Because I didn't know, and I found out later on that this stick meant that I was a short timer. I only had a short amount of time left, and I put my short timer stick away, but I buy a case of beer. And one of the best parts about it was that's when I started learning how to drink warm beer over in Vietnam, because there were no refrigerators around. Okay, and so, and plus it'll give an opportunity to get to know the unit, suck up to the unit with a case of beer. There's a lot of downtime where all you're doing is filling sandbags. You're resupplying your area. We're doing what we need to do. I mean, we're all prepared. We're all prepared just in case. Our rifles is our buddy. Just in case something happens, we got to be ready, And there was always a lookout, and so you got a lot of support going on. And so, everybody else, we do work, showers or whatever. There's always something to do. There was an altercation a few miles away. Naturally, we had to grab our rifles and get out the bunker and lay down covering fire if need be. But nothing happened, and we went down from red alert to 0 alert, and then we went back in the bunkers and finished sleeping. But yeah, tense moments at that time. Everybody's on fire watch every night. That means that you're going to stay awake in the middle of the night from 10 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, okay? And everybody do that every night. And you got 2 or 3 people, you got a foxhole, and this was all new, but, you do what you have to do. And, being out on fire watch, so I thought you didn't have to be on fire watch every night, so I almost copped an attitude about that because I'm losing sleep. We were just about to go on patrol. But this was a squad-sized patrol. It was in the daytime, and the second man was already outside the perimeter. The perimeter is basically a circle, and you leave that perimeter, and you leave it in order 1, 2. You didn't. Everybody wasn't breaking lines. You go in a single file, and right when the second man was out, boom, we got incoming. Okay, guns up, and so as I ran up. And I didn't have a rifle, I had a pistol because I was an ammo humper. And so my job, I was the second ammo humper when I got there, but then I became the primary ammo humper. And so I had a couple of bandoliers. Okay, oh yeah, we look bad, okay? You had a couple of bandoliers across his chest. Not only did it have the bandoliers, I had a couple of cans. But not only that, I had to have my own gear too. When we were walking on patrol behind a tank, my squad leader was blown up by a command detonated booby trap, okay? And he was Saddlefield was his name. And so he was just blown apart, and unfortunately. And so Armstrong was promoted to squad leader. And so, well, that's what happens. Situation happens. So, you got to keep your cool. You got to stay together and do what you need to do. And that was the first time I ever seen a dead body. And so Armstrong, he was a big Jamaican, so he knew how to cook. I mean, he would go to the mama sans and the hooches and stuff, the friendly Vietnamese, and he would get seasons and rice, and we would give him our C-racks. He would cook up this pot of stew, and boy, oh boy, that was a good stew. When he cooked, it was always great. It was always great. And so, but like I said, it wasn't always war and hell and things like that going on. One of the things I became good at in Vietnam, other than setting up a trip flare, you got a flare which shoots up and then lights up the whole area, and then you got a wire. And so what you would do is string it over a certain area where you expect the enemy to pass, let's say a street for a civilian connotation. And so you rig up that trip flare, and so naturally if that trip flare is tripped, well, you better lay down some fire on that because something's going on in that whole area there, and you watch. And we have these goggles so that you can see in the dark. Very great invention. And so, you just got that trip flare out and boom. And so what happened to me that I remember specifically, I accidentally set off a trip flare. Talk about terrifying, because it's all lit up. There I am. I'm laying down flat, covering up, and hoping that nobody's gonna shoot me. Okay, so that was my experience with setting off my own trip flare, because I was good at it. I was also good at making shitters. Okay, you know what a shitter is? I was good at that because I didn't want to sit out on the ground. And so, we just take these old ammo boxes, and I would shape it and make it right and dig the hole right. And hell, I had other platoon members coming over here to, hey, Alan, that shit ready? Yep, be ready in a few minutes, okay? You go ahead and experiment first. It's so great, the things that we got off on, okay? So that was a hell of a, and I was good at that too. And so, you get good at certain things because you're out there in the boonies, okay? We always went on patrol because they call them search and destroy missions. Okay, we're looking for the the Viet Cong. We're looking for rice catches. We're looking for people who are supporting the Viet Cong, and whatever we need to do to stop them from infiltrating our area. Okay, we heard that the enemy wasn't too far away, and we got some rounds, and so naturally we're on high alert. But hell, I was on high alert all day, and I was getting exhausted, and so I'm on fire watch by myself, because like I said, every night you got to be on fire watch. So we were out there for some time, okay, because we heard rumors, and you had to be alert even when you're back in your base camp. And so I'm out on fire watch, and I'm watching, and I fall asleep. Yeah, that's something you shouldn't do, but I did. But I lucked out. My squad leader came and woke me up, scared the shit out of me, because I thought it was a gook, Well, hell, I woke up. A gook isn't gonna take time to wake you up. He's just gonna kill you, So so I woke up, and it was my squad leader. Naturally, I was punished, but the whole thing about it, I woke up. After my squad leader woke me up, I was all nervous, and I couldn't get to sleep, and I couldn't relax. I mean, talk about high alert here, because the enemy, as he should be, is very sneaky. And we can be that way too, but they were better at it. And they can sneak up to you real quiet because they have all night long just to sit there. Or they're in a tunnel complex and they can come out of anywhere because you don't know what a tunnel complex is. And they can sneak up on you that close, and before you know it, boom. As far as, I hated him because you gotta hate somebody in order to kill him. I mean, it's war, okay? And you gotta find that reason to hate somebody to the point where you wanna end that person's life. So the Viet Cong or the NVA, I hated them both about equally. Looking for the enemy and killing him. It wasn't like wounding. It was to kill the enemy. Okay, and the Viet Cong and the NVA, which is the NVA soldier, and those guys were from the North Vietnam. Okay, and the Viet Cong were basically guerrillas. Those could have been guys that you worked with in your base camp, and at night they put on their pajamas. That was a little joke we had, but yeah, they could be out to try to kill you later, and you're dealing with people that you didn't know were your enemy until later on. So you always have to be on guard, or someone has to be on guard in order to watch your back, because that's what the military is. Now they call it "I got your six." Okay, so if you ever hear that term, "I got your six," it means I'm keeping an eye on your back. Like me and you are talking, but I'm actually watching your back. And hopefully you're watching mine. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And so that was that camaraderie feeling. So, we're watching each other, we're taking care of each other because it's war. And your job is to kill and their job is to kill. And that's what we did. No, I'm not sugarcoating it or anything. That was my job. And I did the best job I possibly could, I was going out on a patrol, me and my gun team, okay? And so we was with this one squad, and so we're about to go out on patrol, and then the second man went out, then all of a sudden we got incoming round. As I got up, I got wounded. Okay, I got shot in my leg. I never felt that kind of pain before, okay? I'm crying, I'm yelling, 1-6, Doc, Mama. I'm crying, everybody help me. The doc came and he shot me up with that the opiate-based stuff, and I felt no pain. Soon after that, I felt no pain. Armstrong said, Alan, you're going back to the world. And I said, and I quote, I don't want to go back to the world. I want to go on my R&R, because I was going to go to Taipei, Taiwan. The rumors I heard about Taipei, Taiwan. Well, I missed out on that. Japan, they did the major surgery. Okay, they did the skin graft. It seems like a simple operation, but a skin graft is apparently a very serious operation. And then in Guam was where I was recuperating enough to come back to the States. And then in the hospital, naturally, you're seeing other wounded veterans, some with legs, some with no legs, and maybe an arm, or, what a horrors of war. There's a lot of horror in war. There really is. I came back on a medevac plane, and they wrapped my leg extra big with all this cast and stuff, and it was a heavy duty cast because of the pressure of the plane. And so we landed in Glenview Naval Air Station, I think, but it was one of the air stations here in Illinois, because from there I got shipped to Great Lakes Naval Training Center. And so I was in the hospital on the third floor, which was the orthopedic ward. And that's when he asked me if I wanted a medical discharge, or whether or not I wanted to stay in. And so I told him I wanted in and wanted that honorable discharge. I only had my enlistment was 2 years. So I went to El Toro, and it was El Toro Marine Corps Air Station. After I got out of the military, basically what I was doing just sitting around the house. Then I looked for some marijuana. That wasn't too hard to find. And just started doing nothing but watching TV. But I went into the Army in 77. I had this grand idea. My brother, he was still in the military. And so I figured, well, I'm not doing, I was stagnated. I wasn't going up, wasn't coming down. Okay, I was just stagnated. I was working, making money, but it wasn't a whole lot of money. And so it was less, I needed something else in my life. So I decided to go back into the military. Yeah, right. So I go to the Marine Corps. Well, the Marine Corps is not taking people back in, but the Army was. And so I went into what they call the Minuteman program. The Minuteman program was individuals who were in the military prior service, and all you had to do was just give these guys a refresher course. That's how I went to boot camp. I went to I called it Fort Lost in the Woods, but it was Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I was a nuclear weapons maintenance specialist. Ooh. Making sure the nuclear bombs had the right kind of paint, making sure the labels looked proper. Big title and very simple work. Okay, and so I did that for a while until my legs started bothering me, and then I got all depressed again. And then I got out the Army. But what happened was I met a couple of people. One from Rockford, another guy from a suburb of Chicago. We started a veteran organization called Vietnow here in Rockford, and I'm part of the founders of that. Ooh, and our mama would be very proud. We didn't think it was going to be a national organization. We just wanted to meet, get together, and, we got in the parades. We've been in the camaraderie of other individuals in Vietnam, and the conversations and the reunions that we have, all beneficial to us veterans. I'm not as lean and I'm not as mean, but I will always be a Marine.
This is my second year being a part of the Harlem Veteran Project, so I had an understanding of what this class truly meant. I remember last year, Donald Allen came in to talk to our class shortly about his experiences and about what being a veteran means to him. I became instantly intrigued with his story, and I wanted to know more. Throughout the rest of the year, I remember seeing Don at almost all of the veteran events that I attended. I then realized that he was very involved with the veteran community. Over the summer, I was able to choose a veteran so I could begin the process early. When it came time, I had no doubt in my mind that I wanted to create a documentary for Don so that I could learn as much as I could about his experiences. The first time that I met Don was at a parade over the summer. My teacher walked me over and told Don that I would be the one that would be creating his documentary. Having the opportunity to listen and talk to Don over the past year has inspired me to create a much more positive outlook on life. He is truly one of the most caring and passionate people that I have ever met, and I admire that about him. Don has taught me that there is good in every situation, and life is truly what you make it out to be. Thank you for everything that you have done for me in this program, Don. I will cherish your stories and lessons for a lifetime.